January 1943, North Atlantic. The sea is black and restless, a sheet of moving ink broken only by pale foam along a U-boat's bow. Inside the steel hull, diesel fumes hang thick in the air. Condensation drips from pipes. The night feels safe. For German submarine crews, darkness has always been an ally, a cloak that turns the ocean into invisibility itself. Above them, the sky is moonless. No stars, no light. Only the steady hum of engines and the belief that no enemy eye can pierce this darkness. But somewhere beyond the horizon, unseen antennas are turning slowly, sending invisible pulses into the night. This moment matters because the Battle of the Atlantic was not decided by a single battle or a single weapon, but by a quiet revolution in perception. For years, German U-boats had terrorized Allied shipping, sinking thousands of merchant vessels and bringing Britain close to starvation. Admiral Karl Donitz believed the submarine was the ultimate democratic weapon of the sea: small, hidden, deadly. Night surface attacks were the heart of this strategy. U-boats would rise after sunset, run on diesel engines, and strike convoys like wolves, confident that darkness rendered them untouchable. Early in the war, they were largely right. German crews entered the Atlantic expecting the night to protect them. Training manuals emphasized stealth, silhouette, and patience. Lookouts strained their eyes for mastheads and exhaust smoke, trusting that Allied escorts were blind beyond a few thousand meters after sunset. Even when aircraft appeared, darkness was assumed to be safety itself. To the men inside the U-boat, night was not just an absence of light, it was a weapon. What they did not know was that the Americans and their allies were learning to see without light. Radar, once a fragile experimental technology, had become a quiet engine of change. By late 1942 and early 1943, Allied ships and aircraft were being equipped with surface search radar sets capable of detecting a submarine's conning tower even in total darkness or fog. American-produced systems manufactured in vast numbers began to flood the Atlantic. Unlike flares or searchlights, radar made no sound, no glow. It revealed nothing of itself. It simply measured distance and direction, turning echoes into certainty. German patrol reports from this period reveal growing confusion. U-boat commanders described being attacked at night without warning by ships or aircraft they never saw. Depth charges erupted around them moments after surfacing, as if the enemy had known their exact position all along. Some crews believed there were spies at sea. Others suspected betrayal by neutral shipping. Few initially suspected that the darkness itself had been defeated. Historical records confirm the shift. In 1943, U-boat losses spiked dramatically. In May alone, Germany lost 41 submarines, an unsustainable rate. Allied radar, combined with improved sonar, escort carriers, and long-range patrol aircraft like the American B-24 Liberator, closed what had once been safe gaps in coverage. For the first time, there was no true night, no true hiding place. For German sailors raised on the myth of the unseen hunter, this was a profound psychological shock. They expected the Atlantic to remain a realm of shadows. Instead, it had become transparent. Survivor accounts speak of the same recurring moment, surfacing at night, engines barely above idle, believing themselves alone, then sudden explosions, tracer fire cutting across black water, aircraft roaring overhead where none had been visible seconds before. There was no warning, no dramatic reveal, only the realization that something unseen had been watching them all along. Radar became the silent symbol of this transformation. It was never heard by the crews it hunted, it never announced itself, yet it represented something larger than technology alone. It embodied American industrial power, the ability to design, mass produce, and deploy complex systems faster than an enemy could adapt. Thousands of radar sets, standardized and reliable, crossed the Atlantic alongside food, fuel, and ships. Each rotating antenna was a quiet declaration that abundance itself could be weaponized. German naval intelligence did know radar existed, but underestimated its reach and reliability. Early countermeasures lagged behind. Radar warning receivers like the METOX device were introduced too late and soon rendered ineffective by Allied frequency changes. The technological race had become asymmetrical. The Allies could innovate continuously. Germany could only react. This imbalance reshaped belief. Many U-boat men began to understand that courage and skill were no longer enough. The sea was no longer governed solely by human census. It was governed by mathematics, electricity, and factories thousands of miles away. Darkness, once ancient and trustworthy, had become meaningless. American records, dry and technical, underscore this shift with numbers rather than poetry. Convoy losses fell sharply after radar-equipped escorts became common. Detection ranges increased. Night attacks by U-boats became increasingly rare and increasingly suicidal. The Atlantic, once a graveyard for merchant sailors, began to tilt decisively toward Allied control. Yet for the men inside the submarines, the change was deeply personal. Radar stripped away not just safety, but certainty. The idea that one could be seen without being seen in return undermined morale. It challenged the very logic of submarine warfare. If the enemy could always know where you were, what did stealth mean? What did skill mean? The transformation was ideological as much as tactical. The American approach to war emphasized systems over individual brilliance, coordination over isolated heroics. Radar was not a single miracle device. It was part of a network. Ships, planes, radios, factories, training manuals, all working together. Against this, the lone U-boat commander, once a symbol of mastery, began to feel obsolete. The recurring symbol returns again and again in the accounts, the unseen signal sweeping the night, indifferent to fear or bravery. Radar did not care about rank or reputation. It reduced the ocean to data points. In doing so, it revealed a larger truth of the war, that freedom and survival were increasingly defended not only by soldiers, but by engineers, assembly lines, and shared knowledge. By late 1943, Admiral Donitz effectively withdrew many U-boats from the Atlantic. The night had been lost. The darkness no longer belonged to them. In retrospect, the radar beam slicing silently through the black Atlantic stands as more than a military tool. It symbolizes a world where openness, collaboration, and industrial abundance could overcome secrecy and intimidation. The German U-boat crews believed night was eternal. The Americans proved that even darkness could be mapped, measured, and understood. And in that realization, deep beneath the waves, as unseen pulses traced their steel holes, the war at sea quietly changed forever.